brakes active. Good morning, campers. This fine morning, we're on the highway to heaven again. There we go. I love this view. We just crested the eastern summit of this little grade. It's a bit of a God, I can't talk this morning. It's an optical illusion, is what it is. So it looks like the road ahead just like climbs almost vertically, but it's kind of a trick of the eye because we're already on a downhill segment, and so the part of that bit up there is actually just flat and level. And it just looks like it's super steep uphill because you just assume from your perspective that you are indeed already on flat terrain. But as you can probably hear, my engine is struggling to keep us at only 70 miles an hour. 71, 72, 73, 74. Alright, now the grade will lessen a little bit, our engine brakes will work a little bit better. We'll start walking back from 74. So let's see, on the kilometer scale, it looks like we got to about 120. It's a little bit difficult to read the kilometers. We're about 110. Yeah, about 110 now, I think. 105, 65 miles per hour, and we'll start walking the engine brakes back because we don't need to go slower than 65, no reason. Let's actually turn the engine brakes totally off and grab 10th gear. And that will let us carry a nice chunk of momentum into that hill ahead, because while it is not a vertical hill, it is still quite steep. We do not want to hit that with zero momentum. Ah, wonderful. That also successfully warmed the engine up a little bit more. We slept last night at the TA behind us at Fort Bridger, Wyoming. We've got a delivery this morning in Salt Lake City, then I'm headed home for a couple of days up in Missoula, which we're going to have the bobtail to Missoula from Salt Lake, which sucks, but is not the end of the world. This truck can do 12 miles per gallon bobtail, so it's not the most expensive trip home I've ever done. Here's the bottom. Bringing our throttle back in. Full to climb. We're very heavy, so we're about to get passed by everybody that was behind us on that hill. Not unexpected. We're already down to 60 miles an hour on the climb. Gonna have to downshift soon. No, we're getting speed again. We're 61. All right, the really steep bit's coming up, and then we'll get a climbing lane. We'll join in on the right. But yeah, so the reason they call this the highway to heaven is that sometimes you get low clouds in this valley, and this section of the road looks like it just vanishes up into the clouds from the perspective of the other side. It's really a fascinating visual phenomenon when it happens, but sadly the LCL is a bit too high today for us to see that. And we've got nice blue skies overhead, so downshift. .55 miles per hour, about 56 miles per hour, about 90 kilometers per hour, going into this steeper part of the hill. section of Wyoming. It's just really beautiful and desolate, and there's nothing out here except coal mines. Coal mines and grazing land. And one truck stop. There's a couple little cities back on the other side of that valley. Lyman, Fort Bridger. I think there's another one, but I don't remember the name of it. But they're so far off the interstate, I've never had an excuse to go down and actually see the towns that are over there. Downshift again. That's about 40 miles per hour. Looks like about 65 kph. Hazards on, very slow. A little late on that. I should have popped them in about 5 miles an hour sooner. I like to, my rule of thumb on interstates is once my speed drops below 45, that's when I flick my hazards on for hill climbing. And then once my speed climbs back above 50, that's when I turn them back off again. That way I'm not just constantly flicking them on and off if my speed is hovering right around 45. Just, you know, nice standard numbers that I use. Little metrics like that I keep in my head that have solid numbers to them are why I was good at training robots how to drive. I definitely made that parameter known to the guys designing the robots, so it'll be interesting to see if robot trucks follow a very similar practice. That'd be kind of amusing if you see a robot truck doing that exact same thing, you know, hazards on at 45, off at 50, you'll know where they got it from. So these, this hill and this set of climbing, this set of grades, I should specify, is known among truckers as the sisters. People tell me that there's like individual peaks here that have different names, like this one sister, second sister, or something or another. One of them is apparently the brother. I can't tell which mountains are which. I've never been able to tell here, so I don't know. To my left, which is good because our climbing lane is ending and we are going downhill. See, like that the hill in front of us, it's perfectly flat topped. There's no peak to that. I don't know what you would call that. I don't know if that's one of the system people like, oh yeah, no, the mountain on this side is this, the mountain on this side. I don't know which of these are the individual mountains. I don't know. I'm bad at that, apparently. Make sure we're at maximum engine braking. Excellent. 65 miles per hour. Oh, we got back all of our speed there. That's delightful. Level off at the bottom here. Shakes off. Upshift. One more little downhilly bit. Let's get the Jakes back on because we're going to get a little bit too much speed here, I think. I don't want to go above 75. For one, my speedometer only goes up to 80. But also, I don't know what these tires are rated for, and 75 seems like a pretty safe bet given what I've seen JB Hunt trucks do. Mean-looking Freightliner. There we go. 70. Engine brakes off. We just kind of coast towards our next climb. Bring the power back in at 65. managing your momentum for these hills is a really critical thing for getting good fuel economy in mountainous terrain. You've got to pull enough momentum off the previous hill to get to the next one without wasting a ton of fuel. Because you're going to burn a ton of fuel going up both hills. That's just a given on terrain like this. But you can minimize the amount you burn by minimizing how often you have to use your brakes. The absolutely perfect crossing of these hills would involve cresting the summit of each hill at the exact right speed that you hit the bottom at your maximum speed without using any brake stall. Obviously that's unrealistic because you'd end up going so ridiculously slow that people would hate you. So you kind of want to find that nice happy medium where you're getting a lot of momentum off the hill before, but not wasting a ton of fuel on the climb. Some newer trucks with automated manual transmissions, specifically the PACCAR TX12 transmission, the Eaton Advantage transmission, those are basically the same transmission, different engines, and the Detroit DT12 transmission. All three of those, when they're mated to the proper engine, so the PACCAR MX-13 for the TX12, the Detroit DD15 or 16 or 13 with the DT12, or the Cummins X15 for the Eaton Advantage, when those transmissions are all mated to the proper engine, they can do a lot of that for you, where they know the terrain ahead of you and they can adjust your speed accordingly if the options are enabled. A lot of trucking companies turn that stuff off now because it makes you annoying to drive behind, and also drivers don't trust it and don't like it because it feels like the truck is just not doing the right thing. A lot of drivers just don't like it if the truck slows down below what they have set on the speedometer on its own. Which, you know, I get. When you're paid by the mile, the truck slowing down on its own is, it's hurting your pay. It reduces the amount of money you make in an hour if the truck starts driving slower. But if you're incentivized for the good fuel economy, it's a great thing. All right. Here's the last steepest grade of this. We've been at full throttle for a bit here. We'll need to downshift soon to avoid lugging the engine. Okay, right about now. Let's do the downshift. Here we go. I probably let that get a little bit lower in the RPMs than I should have, but that's probably fine. All right. 9th gear, speed is dropping. 1350 RPMs. This is like peak torque for this truck. 1300. Yeah, we'll have to downshift one more time on this hill. I can already tell. Alright, downshifting. Hazard lights. So this is good information to have. We're at about 78,000 pounds with this load for our gross weight. I'm sorry, I don't know that offhand in kilograms. But that is, I don't have a convenient conversion table in my head for that either. Like I do with the Celsius to Fahrenheit sort of thing. Yeah, so we can climb apparently up a pretty steep grade in 8th gear at this weight, which is a good thing to know. Very good thing to know. Though I have encountered on going down Sherman Hill over by Laramie, I needed to downshift to 7th on that hill, and I was only in 8th when we started going down, and the engine brakes were not quite able to hold our speed. So it's taking some getting used to. The engine brakes on this truck not as good as on previous trucks I've driven, which is not unexpected. PACCAR trucks generally not the best engine brakes, especially with manual transmissions. But, it's something we'll get used to. Just means we have to go down hills a little bit slower than what I would consider normal. Alright, we're going to stay around 50 mile an hour up here. There is a truck coming up behind us, so we got to kind of watch him, make sure he's not going to try and force us onto the shoulder right at the lane end. Behind the potholes. we don't want to carry too much momentum into this hill because we are going to have to engine brake down this hill. So any extra momentum we add up here is just wasted fuel. Let's start signaling left. The truck behind us isn't playing any games. That's good. Let's go ahead and get the engine brakes in. Is climbing once more. We're going to want to hold about, Evanston's mostly downhill. We're about to drop into the Wasatch Grade as we enter Utah. It's kind of a legendary Union Pacific route. For getting to Salt Lake City from Wyoming. Potholes dodged. 70 miles per hour. Oh, we're going to come off this hill at the exact speed I want to be at. Excellent. Alright, now that's a little gentler. Let's cut the engine brake, see what happens. Still gaining speed. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we're just holding 70 with no fuel input needed right now. We're just ever so slightly downhill still. Oh, got a disabled vehicle. Let's move over to the left. We do have a car coming up behind us, so I wanted to do that now and not wait and see what the car did, because the cars will straight up just force you to drive next to a disabled vehicle without even thinking about it. Oh, that's a big puddle underneath that engine. Someone's radiator is not happy. Let's bring in some low engine braking. Engine brakes off again. Bit of grind there, sorry. Woo, somebody had a real bad day here. That guardrail is very messed up. Alright, so shifting into 10th there means our engine brakes will be less effective, but we're pretty much at the bottom now. So shifting into 10th actually reduces the amount of friction that the engine is producing on its own without engine brakes. So it lets us coast a little bit further off the hill. Even though we're not using the throttle at the moment. We are going to bring the cruise control in at 58 miles per hour through the city of Evanston. It's a little bit on the slow side, but it's good for the fuel economy, and Evanston has a couple of on-ramps that can be kind of nasty if people are trying to go up them with heavy loads or old engines. So we got to watch out for some pretty slow merging traffic in a couple of spots. So it's better to keep it on the slow side, at least through the eastern and central part of town. Once you get to the west side of town, you can open it up. But you'll be dropping into the Wasatch Grade soon enough, so no real reason to go super fast. Especially because there is a weigh station at the bottom of that. Well, not even at the bottom, but like 3/4 of the way down that hill. You got a lot of graffiti on you, friend. They had some graffiti on the front end too. I thought it was their company logo. Oh, whoops! That was the traction control button, not the cruise control button. There we go. Cruise is active. Now, I have not actually seen our fuel economy yet for today. From starting at the top of the eastern summit of the Highway to Heaven segment, and then all the way over the hill here to Evanston. Let's see how we did on the fuel economy. 6.3. That's not good, but that's not terrible either for a bunch of hills. 6.4. There we go. 6.4 miles per gallon from a cold, dark dark truck. Well, you know, a little bit cold. I had my bunk heater on, so we were burning a little bit of fuel, but that fuel doesn't get counted by this. It only counts once the key turns on. So 6.4 miles per gallon for warming up the engine, driving over those hills, and popping out here in Evanston. 6.5 miles per gallon. See, it's still climbing because we're still kind of coasting off that hill. Not bad at all. I'd like to see that above 7 before we get to Salt Lake City, ideally. This truck can get some pretty decent fuel economy, but we're very heavy, so I'm expecting our average on this load to be about 7.3-ish. Which on a truck this old is not terrible. Not terrible. I would prefer to keep it above 8, but we're gonna need some aerodynamic upgrades to make that work, I think. Or just some, you know, considerably less windy days. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We're coming into the city of Evanston. That was a nice little walk over the Sisters, over the highway to heaven, which is it's such a world famous little bit of highway. I've gotten just thousands and thousands of hits on the previous video I did there. People apparently find that bit enchanting. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Ellie O'Dare. You can find me on the internet at Ellie O'Dare, Xbox Live, Steam, Nintendo Switch, etc. Twitter is of course the best place to get a hold of me, and you can of course just leave comments below the videos, because I do read them all, even on the videos that go weirdly viral. Not that viral's a thing for me, but like low-key viral, like nerd viral, I think, for the Highway to Heaven, the previous Highway to Heaven video. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye! This feels so much slower now, doesn't it? After doing 70 plus down that hill, this feels like we're crawling, and I love it. Nice and relaxing.